Hey nerds, this is gonna be my second video in like a 4-hour span. I decided since I got to pop in the new Digimon World game that I mentioned some things. This is not a review. I've only put in like maybe 45 minutes into it. But I think that it is a really interesting game that I really want to get more into. And I think that I can help people who think they may want to buy it know if they really do or not. There was a time where I imagined a Digimon game, and in the Digimon game, you were, the human partner, and your Digimon were fighting, you were telling them what to do in the way that they do on the show, as opposed to like how I guess it is with pretty much any turn-based RPG where they stand in one spot, and I mean, you are doing stuff for them, but it's almost like you're not. It's almost like you're them. And just a Digimon game where I got to talk to my partners like they were, party members in an RPG that didn't have to do with monster collecting. And this new Digimon World game allowed those two things to happen. I've wanted a Digimon game since Digimon World 3, really. And Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth took a step in that direction, given that your human character can be seen on the battlefield behind their partners. And still haven't beaten that game yet, but the story and how things progress in that game does feel a lot more like the Digimon anime. Feels more like, let's say, the Tamer season, I want to say. This one does, Digimon World does use the term Tamer, but it's almost in line with the first and second Digimon series. You get sucked into the digital world, you don't know why, and you're doing stuff, and you have partners, and they trust you, and it's at breakneck pace. It does give you the option to hold your hand at the beginning, which I did in terms of tutorial stuff, but you can skip it even on your first playthrough, which is nice. As far as the Digimon World game goes, a lot of those things are still there. Fighting, all the names for the items are the same, like the memory discs and health discs and stuff like that, but they've also added fatigue meters, so your Digimon need to sleep, and they get hungry, so there's also that. And it really seems like you're traveling with your Digimon, first and foremost, not just, I have Digimon. Like, you can technically have conversations with them. I don't know how much or how many, but the interaction you can have with your Digimon outside of stuff like training is done in a way that hopefully after hours of gameplay doesn't seem tedious. I know how fatigue and food meters can end up ruining an otherwise great game. You'd have two Digimon partners, which threw me off because playing Cyber Sleuth, you get 3 like a typical RPG, but the Digimon World series, other than Digimon World 4, usually has a staple of you having one Digimon out at a time. So having 2 out simultaneously was like, oh my gosh, for this series. But not super big in terms of what RPGs are used to. Although because your characters or your Digimon run around the fight and kind of act on their own when you don't give them commands, and you also can cheer them on, believe it or not, it does seem like you don't have all the control over them, but that they'll listen to you. There's the AI component to it, and the game case even says you'll be able to develop AI. I don't know how true that is. I've never seen programmable AI better than Final Fantasy 12, so I'm hoping for that, but I think it's just gonna be like targeting, healing, just the different things. It's like, oh wow, only heal if they have less than 20 HP, something like that. I actually, in my first playthrough, my Digimon my team got wiped out. But they do the Pokemon thing now. It's not just game over. They'll send you back to your starting town. which is not the same as like a basic town. It's kind of like Bravely Default or something. You kind of can like recruit Digimon to help you build stuff so that you can do other things in your village, like you can buy stuff and probably like a equipment maker and things like that. I was recording footage from this game, and the thing that never happened to me before happened, and was like, oh, this section is not allowed to be recorded. And I was like, what? This is weird. And I'm really gonna see if I can find any articles, and I'll put them in the description if I can. If anyone commenting on this, or if Namco Bandai actually said anything about why they're doing it. Because I mean, I'm not gonna assume this is the first game to ever not allow you to record all of it, but I mean, who knows? Also, the part that didn't let me record was part of the intro sequence, like the starting fight, and it didn't make me mad in the moment. I just hope it doesn't happen again later on, just because as a Digimon fan, seeing Digimon Digivolve is always a pleasure, right? And they go through a very dramatic Digivolution and fight and try to weave in cinematics into the gameplay for that fight. It's also kind of a show of, oh, if you had a high-level Digimon, this is what it would look like to make you want to play at the beginning instead of starting with, you know, trainees or babies or rookies. And I couldn't record part of it, but it was like super awesome. I was like, oh my god, I wish I could record this. So considering that, be aware of that if you guys want to stream it or anything like that. But I'm pretty sure general gameplay will probably be okay, hopefully. That's pretty much it, nerds. This has been before you buy, I guess, for the new Digimon world. I hope you enjoy it as much as I am currently.